You were supposed to have a different life, Peter Parker. You were supposed to protect the innocent, save lives, and inspire the citizens of this world to be their best selves. And instead, all of that was taken from you. These people stole your future. These people robbed you of your destiny. The question is, do you want it back? I want it. With the release of Ultimate Spider-Man Issue 1, written by Jonathan Hickman and drawn by Marco Checchetto, the Spidey fanbase has been abuzz with excitement. All within the first issue, we see what's new and different with this Peter Parker's life. This Ultimate Universe gives us fresh ground for Hickman to craft his Spidey saga for all of us to enjoy. The storytelling possibilities are just tantalizing with some notable changes to Marvel's mythos. For example, we actually get Peter Parker married to Mary Jane Watson. And they have children! Finally! Because of the events of Ultimate Invasion, notable Spidey characters like Aunt May, Norman, and Emily Osborn have died prior to the story. With an even bigger change, Uncle Ben is alive and well, and is one of the editors of the Daily Bugle alongside Jonah. The two seem to have a long-running friendship that includes plenty of jokes and blunt conversations just from the first issue. So, aside from changing a lot of stuff from the main universe, what makes this book so special, and why are a bunch of nerds freaking out about how this is going to be the next great Spidey book? Well, aside from the great writer and artist pairing, we need to go back to why this is such a breath of fresh air. I'm not here just to rag on the last 20 years of Spider-Man comics, but I do need to shed some light on why the prospect of Ultimate Spider-Man is so exciting for so many different people. In the late 90s and early 2000s, we had J. Michael Straczynski's run on Spidey, which made a handful of changes that people loved, like Peter being a teacher and the story of him and Mary Jane getting back together. As someone who's read JMS's Spidey saga quite a few times, myself as well as the rest of the Spidey fandom really love the characterization of Peter and the rest of his supporting cast. However, after the events of One More Day, I'm not going to talk about it here, but there's plenty of great videos covering it, Peter was reverted back to being a more hip version of himself, and this is where the Brand New Day and Dan Slott eras kicked off. While I think there's actually some pretty decent stories hidden in these books, Peter's character development grounded to a halt. He would occasionally get together with other women in his life, and his supporting cast didn't get much page time compared to the classics. Overall, we didn't really see his personality change, and it seemed like he was just stuck in Arrested Development. Peter was stuck. While it seemed like Nick Spencer's run ended on a high note, we had no idea how bad things were about to get. In the current Amazing Spider-Man run, Peter has just constantly been mischaracterized, and the whole story feels like editorial is just trying to play off all their cheap tricks to sell copies. While the fandom would love nothing more than MJ and Peter getting back together, we're stuck with MJ being with a nothing burger character that most people couldn't care less about. The entire story has decisions throughout it that have made everyone just collectively be like, huh? What do you mean Peter almost shit his pants asking Felicia out? What do you mean MJ is like a sister to him? What do you mean Ben Reilly is an evil Spider-Man named Chasm? What do you mean Marvel killed off one of their most prominent minority superheroes just for shock value in a Spider-Man book where she appeared in 14 out of 600 pages? What do you mean? It's bad. Don't read this current run of ASM. Honestly, this is probably the lowest point in Spider-Man's history, if I'm being honest. Like, even in One More Day, we at least had JMS writing the dialogue, even though the story itself was, not good. Listen, I'm not trying to be Mr. Debbie Downer here, but it's important to note how many people truly hate the current state of Spider-Man and Spider-Boy. That's a whole other topic. People are deflated, and myself alongside a lot of other people are deciding to go and support other comics instead. Many people, myself included, find that even Miles' comics have been far better in recent years, and they at least feel like actual Spider-Man stories. But let me tell you, when I saw the preview for a new Ultimate Spider-Man, written by Hickman and drawn by Checchetto, my heart skipped a beat. It's just too perfect. Are they really doing this? MJ and Peter back together? A fresh take on a classic? Well, I'm happy to tell you, this book is a perfect beginning for what's to come. Like I said earlier, we have a married Peter who is a bit older and seems to have his life mostly figured out. Peter is a normal guy who works at the Bugle. This feels like they're showing us what would have happened if Peter was never bitten by the spider. One thing that I love about this issue is that it illustrates that Peter is still Peter, no matter what. He still runs late, he's still a little bit goofy, and ultimately, he's a good person. I can easily see this version of the character sharing groan-inducing dad jokes with his kids. He's just missing the powers and the costume. He still cares immensely for all of the people in his life. We even see a bit of a mentor-mentee relationship he has with Jonah. I'm interested in seeing what Ben, Jonah, and Peter do going forward. The reason I lumped these three together is because in the first issue, we see launch pads for how they are all searching for their purpose. In this issue, we see Wilson Fisk meeting with Daily Bugle executives after advertisers have issues with the more harsh and inflammatory content that the Bugle publishes. Due to the changes, Jonah quits and storms out of the office. Shortly after being offered the managing editor position, Uncle Ben also leaves, due to not wanting to quote-unquote toe the line, as Fisk put it. Immediately, Ben catches Jonah in the elevator and asks, "So, what are we gonna do now?" Later that night, the three men meet at the bar with no name. Within hours, Ben and Jonah have started to devise a plan to create their own paper on their own terms. Both of them are men of principle, so while they might debate the finer details, they agree on one thing: they won't lie. They won't be a part of the establishment news, and that's just a dirty business. The new Bugle, or whatever they wind up calling it, will no doubt be an important part in the future of Ultimate Spider-Man as Ben and Jonah find their place after uprooting their lives in a single afternoon. After Jonah leaves the bar, Peter asks how Ben was just able to blow up his life in an afternoon. Ben tells Peter that his wife is gone and that the opportunity just came to him, and he couldn't stand by in this industry of compromise any longer. Peter worriedly tells Ben that he doesn't know if he can blow up his life just for a change. Peter continues and tells Ben that despite that everything with MJ is great and that his job is fulfilling, he feels like he's missing something. His whole life hasn't felt complete. Ben responds to Peter's concerns by saying, "You ever heard the saying, inaction is action?" "Yeah, sure." "Well, that's just a garbage way of saying don't spend your life waiting for something to happen. Make it happen. I love you, son, but if you're walking around half asleep, anesthetized by your own life, then wake up." Shortly after this, Peter goes home and puts the kids to bed. Him and MJ have a heart-to-heart about how Peter needs a change in his life. MJ remarks that he's a fantastic husband and father and that he supported her when she started her business. She loves him, so she'll support him for whatever he needs. After this, Peter pulls out the mysterious sphere shown earlier in the issue and goes onto the roof by himself. While he does this, Peter remembers the encounter he had with Tony Stark last night, saying that someone stopped him from becoming a hero 20 years ago. Tony continues and tells Peter that he was supposed to have a different life, as someone who's an icon for people, and a hero that saves the innocent. Inside the case that was sent to Peter was the sphere. The sphere contains a suit to conceal his identity and the radioactive spider we all know. Taking back his destiny, finding his purpose, and securing his future in one foul swoop, Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man. I really love this scene because it makes the spider a willing burden that Peter takes on. Getting his superpowers isn't through trauma this time, it's his willingness to do more. It's like how I said earlier, this character is still Peter Parker despite him not being Spider-Man yet. He just feels like he can do more, and he wants it. Peter Parker is a man that's destined for greatness, and now as someone who has the tools to be great, he's going to be a hero by choice. I love this issue. I actually bought 1, 2, 3 copies of it. This run is going to be so legendary, I bet these 3 comics are going to pay for Betty's college. You just watch. To say I'm excited about the future of this series is the understatement of the century. This entire first issue just does such a magnificent job of showing us the current standing of everyone in Peter's life. We don't have many details as of writing this, but we do know that Green Goblin and Kingpin will be 2 major players, at least in the beginning of this Peter's Adventures Spidey. Many people are theorizing that, similar to the original Ultimate Spider-Man, that we might see retellings of famous Spidey stories like the Clone Saga, Venom's introduction, etc. I'll be excited to see it all, whatever it is. Even if it's brand new, if it's retellings, I think that would be great. Let Hickman cook. I love seeing the modern retellings of these legendary stories. Personally, I can totally see one or both of Peter's kids getting spider powers down the line, but you never know. What do you hope to see in Ultimate Spider-Man going forward? I can't speak much about what the future holds, but I have faith that it will be amazing. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is Jared with the BS Crew, and we're officially back to making videos. I had a bit of a break due to burnout, to be honest with you, but planning my wedding, which was great. So now that I have a semblance of normalcy again in my life, I'll be working on a bunch of videos in the future. While it may not be as rapid fire as it once was when we started the channel, I'm hoping to get out at least 1 video essay a month and 1 podcast video every month as well. In case you haven't seen it yet, check out Tyler's trucking sim video. Just came out a few weeks ago. He put his whole truckussy into that one. Alright everybody, you've been wonderful. I've been Jared, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.